All right, we are all in this quest to become healthier and fitter. And for a lot of us, fitter means lowering our body fat and building our muscle mass. So most people's minds, when that becomes a goal, shift towards engaging in certain types of exercise and also changing dietary practices. But what a lot of people don't consider is temperature. Most of us spend our lives in climate-controlled environments. We do it at home when we're there, right? AC on, heat on, basically keeping a temperature and humidity at the same, one particular level. We tend to do the same thing in our cars, depending on the season, right? We use heat and AC as well. And then when we get to the office or a local retail store, it's all the same idea. And so what I like to remind people is that everything that we do for fitness and health is actually intended to be stressful. The whole idea that stress beats us up is probably the farthest thing from the truth. It's like saying, water beats us up. Well, if you consume too much water, you can die. So yes, you can have too much of something. But stress is literally everything we experience every single day, summated, right, accumulated to one big bucket. And if we are not utilizing heat and cold and humidity as intentional stressors, if we're avoiding discomfort and avoiding hot, humid environments for a short period of time, avoiding cold, like cold baths, for example, exposure to wintertime or, rivers, right, running bodies of water, these things become a detriment to our health. Our immune system and our endocrine system, which is our hormonal system, is deeply tied to the sensory perception of our environment. And without a doubt, there is a huge increase in immunity, in mood, in sleep quality, in body fat accumulation when we expose ourselves to these intentional stressors of heat and cold. For example, our gym currently is without AC, and you go to most warehouse style gyms and most of them don't have air conditioning anyway. They just simply don't pay for it because it's far too expensive. Imagine how expensive it is at top tier. It's a huge building, huge bill. But I see this as an opportunity while it gets repaired to improve my health. A personal story. So I spent the better part of my adult life in comfortable climate-controlled environments. And I did it because I liked the comfort. It's the bottom line. I hated heat. Cold didn't bother me as much, but COVID pandemic came around a lot. It sort of forced a lot of changes into my life, and one of those things was, businesses closed and governments shut down my options, and I just spent more time outdoors trying to learn with school stuff, trying to engage my mind in various ways that was not possible having a physical gym as my main business. And I can remember very clearly being sensitive to the cold a lot in the winter times over the last 10 years, and even worse with heat and humidity. I was such a baby with heat particularly. Cold was a little less so because my rational brain said, well, you can just put on more layers of clothing. I have for sure benefited in huge ways, both in my health, immunity, and even I would argue in my performance in certain contexts from intentionally exposing myself to cold baths, cold meaning somewhere between 50 and 60 degrees temperature, not that big a deal realistically, and only for about 5 minutes at a time. Ooh, big deal really, right? I've also, my car AC broke, and so I didn't get it repaired. Suffered through that transition and found on the other side of both of these experiences, I can tolerate cold like I did as a kid. I can remember walking around in wintertime and, shorts and a t-shirt in, 40, upper 30 degree weather, sometimes even when it snowed. And I can also remember as a child being very happy and comfortable being outside in 90-degree heat in Maryland and playing, doing athletic things, running around, climbing trees, things of that nature. And so in my later adulthood, all of that stuff became intolerable in many cases. And you talk to the average person and what they'll say to you is, well, it's age, right? Like, I'm in my 40s now. Oh, well, that's just part of what happens as you get older. My personal experience, and that the experience I'm gradually seeing from my clientele, is actually not true. That age is a factor in everything for sure, but my body's functioning in terms of temperature regulation similar to when I was a teenager after 3 years of changing my lifestyle. I can tolerate heat and humidity and not really be a baby about it. I can tolerate cold and not be a baby about it. And yes, there are psychological improvements, but I really want to drive home that when you look at the objective research, and when I look at my own personal blood work, for example, in recent years, so much has improved. I was already healthier. I'm even healthier by every known objective measurement. But it requires me and you, by extension, to understand that all of this stuff is intentional stressing, stressors. And so I don't think we should be pitching this idea that exercise is just fun. It can be, but the reality is exercise is stress. So is eating food. So is sleep changes, right? So go intentionally stress yourself out by being in a gym that's not climate controlled year round. Go intentionally expose yourself to cold baths. Go intentionally expose yourself to heat and humidity for periods of time that are tolerable, and watch over months and years, your body fat slowly will drop, your health markers will slowly improve, your mood will slowly improve, you'll feel way better, and it's all because you stopped trying to stay so comfortable.